everyone, welcome to Talks and Show. Today I have a very special guest with me. I have Dr. Asma Salman with me. She is an associate professor of finance at the American University in the Emirates. She is also a blockchain developer, and welcome to the Talks and Show.
Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Asma, we were talking for a bit to look what is going on, what is trending. And one of the things within the digital assets market which is trending are, on one hand, it's about STOs or digital securities offering, and the other hand, it is about decentralized finance or DeFi as it's called. As you are a professor in finance, how are you seeing decentralized finance now evolve in your classes, for example?
Lovely. I just love this question. I get this a lot because I teach finance, and there's a whole traditional way of how we have learned finance and what we bring to the classroom. Things have changed. Things are changing. Things are evolving. Must I say that things have completely changed the way we have looked at finance, and it is completely going through a disruption of what is going around in the industry right now. Dubai is the best place to be in at the moment, because I feel that not only that these things are changing, those things are being implemented as well. What we can say in the classroom is that it's a whole new different ball game now. It's not only about stocks, bonds, shares, or real estate as we would know. It has gone completely into the digital workspace, which means we are talking about cryptocurrencies, we talk about decentralization, we are talking about how this movement is creating that asset class for the people to invest in. Now, as you would know, most of the times people have the trust issue. They do not want to know how can they make money without putting that in trust to people. Now, we know a traditional way: you go to the bank, put your money, you have the trust factor, you have all the eligibility, tick, 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 you can open your account and you can be there and either be an investor or an account holder or whatever product you feel that the bank's offering for you. On the other hand, you have a decentralized structure. Part of it, in some countries it's regulated, in some countries it's banned, in some countries it's a controversy, in some countries it's helping with the inflation, Venezuela being one of them.
Yes.
And then there is some part where it says that how can we go into this space? I get this question from the students, especially when they're asking me that how can you trust something that we can't see? Now, it's the same thing. We started from the barter system, we went on to the coins, we went on to the currency, we went to the credit card, and now from all of that, we have moved into the space and gone into a digital currency. One of the best examples, I'm sure you've heard about it, that Dubai is coming up with its own, actually they have come up with their own digital currency, which is called Mcash. And they're doing these transactions. They've done a pilot study with KSA in Saudi, and they're doing it between their central banks, and they want to see how this thing can work, and especially in the reduction of cost. So I feel that decentralized finance is people taking that power in their own hands, saying that, okay, fine, we would give you money to take care of our money. We can do that now ourselves.
Yes. So one of the things, and the numbers, vary from time to time, but I've heard that, collateralized debt is one of the most interesting products right now. As if I've read correctly, around 600 million US dollars of worth in Ethereum is basically being collateralized, where people are able to get it as an interest. So an interest rate earning and become an interest rate earning asset. But on the other hand, you can also able to get, give your Ethereum and get US dollars as a loan.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing in this? Are these interest rates like market conform, or are they, something different than the market is offering?
So now we understand that how the market moves. Now, let's go a little bit back and just see what happened in a financial crisis situation. And you must be hearing that it's coming soon as well, as they say. So there was a time when in 2008 people were saying the best thing would have been the Islamic finance to prevent such a calamity in terms of a financial crisis. But what's happening now is that people are moving towards the crypto space and saying that, okay, this may be our last savior in terms of either mitigating that risk factor or making sure that people can also earn or make that money. Coming towards the STOs and what you've mentioned about Ethereum, of course it's at par with what the market would give you, not only in terms of holding on to that asset as an Ethereum, but also earning about the same interest rates which the market offers you. The thing to understand over here is that those interest rates, once even that Ethereum stays, the price goes up and down, of course, with any other asset it would go like that. It still can hold on to you and earn you some money at the end of the day. It started as one of the first things as a smart contract, as you would know, and it has actually done two things. It has the biggest use case for a smart contract is in the country of Honduras. Now, we all know about title deeds and what happens with these title deeds. You have a property in your name or a grandfather's name or your great grandfather's name. It goes down, the name changes, and you don't know who owns the property. And those title deeds were a huge case in Honduras. And they've had the maximum number of smart contracts over there through Ethereum blockchain, and they've solved those cases. So that's one of the biggest use case that is there. In terms of getting the money out of it or making some kind of investment out of it, this is also one of the other use case which is working towards going through the Ethereum blockchain. People have done that, of course. The Bitcoin's been one of the biggest thing. Everybody wants to be an overnight millionaire, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of I'm sure you know, the mining is now at almost 80%, 20% left, and they have all these forks coming in because, of course, the process has become slower unless we get something which might be bigger than a Bitcoin.
I got it. So if you look in finance in general, I mean, why do I go to a bank? It is basically the trust that they will safeguard and safekeep my money. Now, one thing you've mentioned is basically that there are very intelligent people coming into this DeFi world, in this decentralized finance world, who are creating smart contracts, layers of when things should be executed, monthly, daily, kind of payouts, but more importantly is the fact that this is all done without human intervention, without any bank or person coming in and taking it away. What has been said is that I feel that this decentralized finance has got also a huge opportunity for the people who are unbanked.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a huge point. That's an excellent point, because when you talk about financial inclusion, there's a huge amount of population which is unbanked, who either do not fulfill the criteria of the banks, do not have the basic eligibility. I'm sure people in African region, in Southeast Asian regions, they really don't care how the money is coming, as long as they get that money. Now, whether it's from one financial institution or through cryptos or through a wallet, as long as they're part of the entire system, the whole change of the smart contracts, smart economy, blockchain world has to have the ulterior objective of having the financial inclusion. If we are not including these people, we're talking about around 65 to 70% of the population. It's huge. I mean, what do we do? Are we saying that these are the people who only regress the economy? Actually, these are the people who can help us actually make the economy go much faster, and they can be part of the bigger picture as well. You can, these days, smartphones does everything for us. Like we were having a chat a while ago about the mobile addiction. I'm sure we go through this, right?
Agreed. I'm addicted. I confess.
Right? So at the end of the day, we have to understand that people who are unbanked and people who are not educated still have the understanding of how to use a smartphone, and they're going ahead with it, and they can download and they can make an account in less than 30 seconds. Just imagine, with all the paperwork you need to go to a bank and tell them to take care of your money, and you're willing to pay money to take care of money. So this is a question mark. I know that it may be ruffling a lot of feathers, but at the end of the day, we should understand that the past 200 years, there has been no other way things were moving on. So definitely, if we have the regulators coming in, some kinds of people giving us a bit of pushbacks, there is a reason behind it, because that's the way things were moving, and now things are being changed. People want to take that power in their own hands and say, we're a group of people, this is the kind of money we believe in, and we will go ahead with it.
Yes. So one of the things which made very, very prevalent for me is the fact that a lot of intermediaries are there which will be taken away. So I want to give a small analogy. So I earn money, I get my salary deposited into my account. My employer does that. There's a bank fee. Now I say, hey, I want to save some money. I want to do it for my, let's say, retirement. Right. So I send my money out to the pension fund, for example. Right. Again, there is a bank fee. Sure. So then it goes to the bank account of the pension fund. Then they decide they're going to do a little chunk of my investment into Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. So they transfer again the money towards a project in Silicon Valley. Right. Again, another bank fee, basically. Right. Then, a retirement happens not overnight, so it's like a seven-year thing. Sure. A lot of costs in between are taken off, but then the company is now getting cashing it out. So again, a bank fee comes back to the pension fund. Right. Then the money is sitting up there, and then is getting paid out for me for my, let's say, retirement. So if you see, there are a lot of steps in between before it's possible to really do that Silicon Valley kind of investment in the end. Yes. Now, and what decentralized finance will bring is basically the steps will be less, mm-hmm. because you have more things into your hand, but more importantly, it's also less intermediaries in this whole process. Sure. Where this banking fee and there is an investment manager who also needs a fee, sure. To keep on grabbing from it is, and from there we are able to see that this whole chain can be really autonomized, having less intermediaries, sure. and more trust that payment will come. Absolutely.
I'm a blockchain developer as well. Now, with all the things that are helping the economy, making it much, the whole steps of fee that you've very rightly mentioned, to minimize them, all of that can happen, but it might at the moment create a bit of an issue or a challenge for the people who may not be very technically strong. By which I mean to say, I'm a traditional finance professor, mm-hmm. who's gone into fintech, which is financial technology, which means that I've made sure that I am keeping up with what the technological revolution is coming up. It's really, you're stepping up your game yourself to make sure that you very well understand where the world is going on. Now, in terms of all these steps that you've mentioned, let's say $600 billion, if you're taking the size of how the remittances would go.
Okay.
Just in 2017, 98% of that fee could be cut only if things were going in a decentralized fashion.
Wow.
Which means only 2%. That's huge amount of money.
Absolutely.
And just imagine that amount of money can be used. There's a UN food program. They've put these things on blockchain, and they're using it for the refugees. I mean, there are so many other examples that are going around. I mean, everything's over the internet, and people are making content for other websites, and those websites are the one earning in terms of all the social media that we're part of. I mean, all of this feeds into it. Just imagine just saving that amount of money and telling those financial intermediaries, saying that, hello, you know what, we don't need you anymore. That's not the best thing they would want to hear, because that's exactly how the financial institutions work. There is a financial intermediary in between them, but now we have included blockchain, we've added the AI concept, we've added the whole minimizing the whole concept and making sure that I pay less and you get more.
Got it. So one of the things which is like, people are asking me is the fact that when will mass adoption happen of this technology? Because everybody's waiting for it, and people need it, especially people in small villages, for example, where access to banking is limited, access to lending is limited. So last week I was doing a transaction myself. I had to use MetaMask to do this transaction. And the whole problem was this: if you're not a computer geek, I could not really do the transaction because it was quite complicated. So for me to understand, it took some time, and I took some help of other people. But I think that I feel, and maybe you can explain on it, is basically the fact that for mass adoption, it should be ease of use, right?
That's right. Indeed, absolutely. Now, like I said, one of the challenges is that it may not be user-friendly as of now. But we have to understand where we are coming from and where we want to go. Having said that, people that we want to make use, that they should have an ease of use, were never part of the economy anyway. But now, not only that we're pushing them into the whole circle, we are also making sure that there's an ease of use attached to it. Again, there are apps that can be downloaded. You can create a wallet, you can send money, that's fine. There might still be a financial intermediary in between that, but it may not be as much as all those fees that we talked about a bit earlier. Having said that, once we can minimize, actually, it's the whole concept of first understanding and adopting. Tell you what, even the people who have been in the education industry for long do not have that kind of trust that we want them to have as of now. At the same time, we do see a lot of people coming into the space, but there's a lot of thinking that goes behind it, because there's a traditional way of thinking, and now we're telling them to completely leave that and think outside the box, which means that all of these things are not only happening, they are creating a space which is creating value. So we are moving from the internet of information to the internet of value, which means that first it was only information based, and now you can make money off it. So of course, the coding part, like you have rightly mentioned, it is going to take some time with that adoption coming in, but the ease would be companies who are making these transactions, the website that are making these transactions easier. Some are regulated, some are still unregulated, and people are still, even the gaming industry, like we talked about a while ago, is going huge on such kind of internet money, if I may call it.
Yes. So gaming is obviously a very big thing, and I understood from you also that a lot of virtual money started off with, but now it's really turning into real US dollars to be earned as we go forward. Now, before I let you go, Dr. Asma, I would just want to tip on something you give also. I mean, you're quite often on stage yourself, speaking about digital assets in general, but more importantly, is there anything in the near future where people can, look up or maybe visit you to see where you are speaking on these new technologies, because you also speak on artificial intelligence, on fintech.
That's right.
So there's a big, of course she is a professor of finance, but you cannot be one without the other, meaning tech is also a big part of your work nowadays.
Absolutely. So So first thing first, what we're doing, like you've mentioned, I've been speaking at so many events here in the UAE, also outside. I've had a couple of events where I've been speaking and advocating the use of blockchain and how this has disrupted the finance side or the financial technology. That is where a lot of my research comes in as well. Of course, I represent the American University in the Emirates, and recently there is a book that has come out which I have edited by the name of Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies. It's out in the market. You can see it under my name. Other thing is that since I come from the education, one of the best things that we've created back at the university is an education-based specialization for the business program, which means that we would be getting in students into studying blockchain and cryptos together rather than going into blockchain and IT and only crypto. So we've merged these two things together, and we want this to be a specialization, a first of its kind, not only in the UAE, like they say, but also around the world. There are lots of programs that are going on, but there's no specialization per se. And AUE would be one of those. So we want students to come in so that when they graduate, people like you would be looking to hire them, I'm sure. So to make sure that they have market-ready jobs, and also because we want the graduates to feel that the market has evolved, the market has changed. And that is also one of the backdrop of my talks or my speeches or my talks inside my classroom, to let my students coming. And one of the things that I'm very, very interested, and I do that a lot as well, are the hackathons, the fintech hackathon. So my students have won that as well, and I've been pushing them as well. So this is also one of those things to look out for.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for coming on the Talk Sense show. It has been absolutely a pleasure to learn from you so much about what is happening in the decentralized finance space. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And I hope to see you very, very soon.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.